Hi everybody, and welcome to the monthly astrology snapshot for the lunar month beginning at the new moon solar eclipse on April 19th or the 20th, depending where you are in the world. My name is Paula Shaw, and I offer these every month in the hopes of giving you guys some kind of heads up on what's coming, and also hopefully offering you some insights and some information and guidance as to how you can navigate these times and also harness these times. This lunar month we are in eclipse season. Everything is changing. It is a changing of the guard. We got some big planetary cycles still playing out. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing astrologers talk about it's so intense. But as you know, as it was predicted, 2023 was always going to be a year where things would be quickening, things would be shifting. Saturn's moved into Pisces, as I've discussed before. This is the dissolving Pisces of Saturnian power structures. The old guard, Pluto, the planet of transformation. And I've even written about this Pluto this lunar month as being like a wrecking ball, going through Capricorn since 2008, just completely destroying at a very deep level old power hierarchical structures. We can see the House of Cards, whatever wasn't built in depth and truth and quality that's really about evolution and progress is crumbling. And with Saturn moving through Pisces, that is just enhancing. Saturn's the ruler of Capricorn, with Pluto out of Aquarius, getting ready for the wrecking ball, is getting ready to go back, but it's still in Aquarius at the moment, getting ready to go back to Capricorn later this year. But with Saturn moving through Pisces, we are experiencing, it's like it's melting. It just can't hold anymore. It has to change. Pluto is in Aquarius now. We have to progress. If nothing changes, nothing changes. Aquarius is about the iterations, the evolution, the subtle shifts at times, sometimes big shifts that shift the trajectory of our lives. The ruling planet of Aquarius is Uranus. And Uranus is all about shaking up what needs to wake up. Pluto into Aquarius is a time where we all have to wake up. We have to get real. And with these other planetary movements, breaking down the old structures, allowing us to see what doesn't work, to see what needs to break, what needs to end at a collective level. This gives us an opportunity to get real, to go, what do I need to do at a personal level to awaken at this time? And this lunar month has just so much opportunity for you to tune in, to unlock something new within you with these eclipses. We're in eclipse season. These eclipses are not as intense as the ones last year. However, they're still eclipses. So you do not want to muck around or be light about it. But before we get into that, I want to talk about Mercury and Pluto turning retrograde this lunar month. Some reprieve will come. We have had all planets direct since January 23rd, when Uranus, this planet of lightning, truth, clarity, and disruption for evolution, went direct. And it has felt to me this kind of, like the foot's on the accelerator, we're just going, and sometimes it's too much. And this is when you start to really understand why retrograde cycles are beneficial and why they even exist. They exist to help the story reset, or they're symbolic of those times where sometimes you just need to stop and review and integrate. They're symbolic of those times where the most productive thing you can do is nothing and allow things to set and reset. Even though we've got the Mercury-Pluto turning retrograde, we're still in these amplified times. So this could be a moment where we could just, for a few weeks of this lunar month, because Mercury is usually retrograde for about 3 weeks, and Pluto going retrograde is part of a bigger cycle, but still in Aquarius. it gives us a time to go, okay, let's take stock. Let's try to gather our senses a little bit and try to make some sense of what's been going on. However, we're moving into eclipses, so this could just be a little bit of, the release valve in the pressure cooker, just so things don't explode or implode. But there have been really big celestial patterns and changes and movements, and it's becoming obvious if you've been looking at astrology, especially over the last few years. It's been literal. The symbology has been literal. It's incredible to observe and to learn and to actually really learn about astrology through this very obvious, acute experience of it. But we've just had a Sun-Jupiter conjunction, and this was last week before the couple of weeks leading up to the new moon solar eclipse. And this is the annual meeting between the Sun, who is the ruler of the solar system, the king, queen, and the guru, Jupiter. And they've been in that yearly conversation and expansion, and it's like, what are we actually doing here on this planet? And can we see a new way to move the story forwards? It's as though the guru is giving some great advice to the monarch, and we can actually make some sense of this bigger story. So, with all of what I've just shared with you, you can see the changing of the guard that is happening, and you're seeing that playing out on the world stage. Remember that this year is about increasing your capacity for change, for evolution, but also for purification. Purification doesn't mean you're impure. It's allowing your old stuck stories at a personal level that you've been journeying with to unravel. Otherwise, you're going to be scared. You'll be white knuckling it to hold on to the past. And these changes will only incite fear in you. And the reality is it's happening. And the truth is, if you can take a breath, accept it's happening, then you actually can position yourself to be able to connect with and observe and align with the things that are beneficial to you that are coming in. This is not all bad. Change is scary. It's always uncomfortable. No one likes it. But it is the one thing that doesn't change is change. We live within laws that mean that nothing stays static in this human experience. And this is a quickening. This is an intensification. But I feel, things that are breaking down. And yes, it's uncomfortable because there's some things in the breaking down that have supported us. So it's uncomfortable, but there will be new things to come in. And the new that's coming, yes, it will also have a shadow. It won't all be good. It'll be different, but there will be beneficial, exciting, new approaches, ways, structures, stories, laws within that you can align with now. So one more thing at the bigger story, the bigger cycle level, before I look at the eclipses, is that the collective karmic destiny I see as being triggered even more at this time because the nodes are points, they're not planets, they're equations, mathematical equations that are connected to what determines when an eclipse happens. So they're connected to the eclipses and to the moon, and they're very much about our collective destiny, our fate, our karma. And the nodes are moving into a square with Pluto. And that's going to be a key dynamic next lunar month, which is really about destiny. It is going to be really bringing to the foreground issues to do with resources, politics, religion, the environment, and equity for humanity. I haven't had a chance yet, but I am actually going to do a video on Pluto and Aquarius, which I'll be sharing in my Patreon. There'll be a small sharing, but I'm going to go deeper in my Patreon, which I've just created. You'll see links in wherever you're watching this. There'll be a link to my Patreon, which is a community page set up where I am going to share a lot more information, but I'll talk about that at the end of the video. But yeah, the Pluto moving into Aquarius is, you know, this equity, shifting our relationship to power. And with the nodes and Pluto coming into a square, it's like you can't skip the step. You can't avoid it. You can't miss it. We have to look at it. It's a challenging configuration. And like I said, next lunar month is when it's going to be activated big time with Mars and Jupiter. And it's just a whole thing. But I will talk to you guys about that at the next monthly astrology snapshot. But what does this mean for you personally? You know, as I shared before, look within. Look at the old heavy structures and stories and beliefs and just allow them to keep dissolving, to keep breaking down at this time. You know, where have you engaged in excessive behaviors, excessive consumption, you know, just because it's what we all did? Let that go, and you don't have to freak out about money at this time if you can live within your means properly. It's okay to have surplus, I always say that. But living in excess, which is having more than you need for this life, that's being challenged. Anything excessive has been challenged in the collective and will continue to be while Uranus moves through Taurus for another few years. But the good thing is that Uranus is not being as triggered because it's come out of that square that it was in for the last 2 years, which really made that challenging. So I wouldn't be surprised if Uranus through Taurus is about really bringing in new financial systems, new ways of being with money, investing, the earth, resources. So I feel the second half of the Uranus through Taurus cycle, it appears that it will be a lot easier. So yeah. With Taurus, with Uranus being in Taurus, Uranus is all about the new and innovation, and Taurus rules the earth. You could say that a new earth is wanting to come into form, and that's what we're living through. For the new to come, the old must die. We all know that seems to be a law in the human experience. But let's look at the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. I will do a separate video on this just before the actual exact time. But just to share with you guys now, this is one of the most potent moments of 2023 to unlock your courage, to unlock more of your personal potential, and to initiate something new. Last lunar month, we had a new moon, also in Aries, the first new moon of the astrological new year. And this brought in a whole new energy, which is only going to be amplified by this eclipse. So something that's been building in you, something that has been wanting to emerge, to express new courage, new sense of leadership. This is happening in Aries. Aries is the initiating point, the beginning point where the energy of creation begins. It's also leadership, leading yourself with courage into a new way of being. That will have been triggered last lunar month. And now you're at this point where you're starting to see it wanting to emerge even more. This is a potent time to observe what that is, to maybe do ritual if you're one for ritual, and allow yourself to listen, go within and listen for what wants to come through, not what you think you want. Don't let the ego get in the way, because there is a bit of a caveat with this this solar eclipse, that if you get into anger, because Jupiter will be in a conjunction, really, Jupiter expands everything that he touches. He can bring wisdom, but he can also exacerbate whatever's there. So if you're finding this second new moon, now solar eclipse in a row in Aries, you're feeling too much energy or upset, irritated, take a moment. Don't seed in new intentions in that energy. Don't be aggressive. This is about courage. This is about, imagining if the spotlight actually was shining on you, would you be ready? and this then ties into the lunar eclipse in Scorpio 2 weeks after the solar eclipse, where you can release whatever is in the way of you being you. We are living in a time where your value will be what is authentically unique about you, not made up, not fake. Like, what is it? Where do different pieces of what you may have been doing in your work, in your life, in your career come together? Where do they meet uniquely in you? What is your unique value? If you're contributing something of value and you've got the courage to action it, and I know that's scary, trust me, I know it's scary, then you will be okay in these times. If you can live within your means, truly, and I don't mean frugal, but live within reason. Like, you don't need the extra anything excessive, thoughts, information, food, anything, then you will be able to connect in with what your true value is and then share that. And this new moon solar eclipse is a moment to go, what is my true value? This is a hybrid solar eclipse, which means that the actual eclipse, the moon itself, will be in Aries, but the north node will still be in Taurus. So Taurus is about quality, the earth, the resources, and then the eclipse is actually a solar eclipse. It's like a new moon on steroids, and new intentions will be in Aries. So you got to think about what it really means. What is the true value of it? What is the quality level like? Is it, if what you're creating and giving to the world is truly valuable, you'll have no problems. Truly. This is not a time where everything is falling apart. It's the excess, it's the structures. But again, at a personal level, where have you participated in that? Had fear, lived like, I've got to live like this. I have to have 5 houses. I've got to do all of it. Let it go. And then, yes, this new moon lunar eclipse, full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio is going to be a really great moment, a wonderful moment for you to just go, I'm done with this. This is happening on May 5th, 6th, depending where you are in the world. Now, it's not a total lunar eclipse. That doesn't mean it's not still powerful. This is the final eclipse in Scorpio, in the Scorpio eclipse series, Scorpio-Taurus axis. And this is, a deep dive. So Scorpio rules the deep alchemical waters, where you go in, where your trauma is buried, hidden, where the things that scare you live and you don't want to deal with. And when we have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio, we're invited to dive deep into those places, because it is under these trauma stuck energy points that your true power lies. Trauma isn't the event that happened, it's how we interpret it. So I am not suggesting go back to the events. That can actually be re-triggering, and you don't want to do that on your own unless you know what you're doing. But you can deal with the consequences of the trauma, of the events. And this full moon lunar eclipse is a moment to deal with the behaviors that you've engaged in as a direct result of how you dealt with or did not deal with these traumatic times in your past. We've all done it. And this lunar eclipse is a moment to go, to be honest, like, how did I deal with certain things in my past or not? And how did that then impact the way I behaved? This can be, this full moon lunar eclipse has a really potent opportunity to break up with old patterns, negative thinking, negative karmic loops with people, with yourself, addictions. You can really just be done with it. Really be done. There's so much in this lunar eclipse that's really going to help you with that. And this, like that, how I was saying, the solar eclipse had this energy of something's been growing in you since the new moon in Aries at the beginning, at last lunar month. This lunar eclipse has something that you've been working on for years. you've been trying to release. And look, when I say this is a potent moment, I don't mean this is the forever moment, but it's another opportunity to just go in there. And who knows, maybe you're at a point where one of those moments, one of those things, you're ready to actually let it go. Like, this could be the moment. In a way, what I've learned from sitting with people over the years and my own experience is that we can never completely delete or erase the events. That's always there. But what I have observed and experienced is that we become greater than the experience. So our ongoing response to the traumatic events, that heals, that gets clear. That's where, like Scorpio is taking the poison and transforming it into the medicine, the wisdom, alchemy. You can do that. The trauma will always be with you, or the events. That will never not be there. You can't delete that, but you can keep evolving. And eclipses are really just so incredible. And the eclipses in with the South Node being in Scorpio for the last couple of years, this is a release point. We got to let it go. All the misuse of power, all of our fears, all of those things we hide down, find a way to get out. Even if you're not wanting to share it, like confession is great if you have the right place, right people, right time. It's not something to share with everyone. But even if you're just willing to write it out, I've seen people's lives change just by writing it out, not even saying it to anyone, and burning it. This is a lunar eclipse to work with fire. They're always good for fire, but there's some specific patterns around this lunar eclipse that work with fire. Please don't burn yourselves, houses, or anything other than your old karma. So clear the decks at this lunar eclipse to really make more space for that new moon, unlocking of courage, initiating something new. If the spotlight shone on you right now, would you be ready? You don't have to be, but just think about where you're at with it. And if you want to dive deeper, go to my Patreon. Please check out my Patreon, where I will do horoscopes for each of these eclipses. And on the higher tier, I also will go into ritual suggestions. It's not expensive. It's a small fee, a monthly fee for me to just show up and share some really cool content. I'm so excited to have created this. This is my solar eclipse, new moon, Aries. I'm just going to have the courage to get out there and share more and open it up to you guys. So please check it out. Is there anything else this lunar month I want to share? Sun North Node conjunction in Taurus on the 25th of April. This will be active a few days either side, but you can see with what I've shared. So we've got the North Node that's connected to this solar eclipse in Aries, and that the North Node is in Taurus. So that's that hybrid energy. With this happening with the sun, so remember the sun, the monarch, has just been in its annual meeting with the guru, and now the sun is in its annual meeting with the North Node, and the North Node is the collective karma, the future collective destiny of all of us. And this is in Taurus, the earth, the new earth, the resources. The eclipses have been happening here. Uranus is in Taurus. The new earth wants to happen in innovative ways. What is unique about you, your true value, all these themes. And with this conjunction, in the context of everything I've just shared, around this time, which is just days after, just 5 days-ish after the solar eclipse, this could be a time where what you've seen, and you might find you're getting some traction. At the collective level, we may even see some really good conversations as this wrecking ball of Pluto is going to travel back again this year for, I can't remember exactly how long, but it's months. I think it's about 6 months back into Capricorn to make sure the demolition is done. Nothing is left. So this, Sun North Node conjunction in Taurus could be just such a cool time for us as a collective, as a species, to get going with something new about this planet. And again, you can harness that and see if your new moon, solar eclipse intentions are actually getting some traction. Pluto retrograde, that's on the 1st of May. And that will be until October. Okay, so I don't think it's quite, oh yeah, that'll be until October. This is where we're going to start, like I said already, the wrecking ball's turning backwards. And then a really cool day I wanted to share with you guys, because I think we need some fun and some goodness, is the 14th of May, where we will have Venus trine Saturn sextile. They'll both be in sextile to Mercury. I've got that a little bit mixed up, but it's a beautiful configuration. No, yeah, so Venus is trine Saturn, and Saturn will be in a sextile to Mercury. This is a really, actually, yeah, both Saturn, Mercury is sextile, both Saturn and Venus. So Venus is a planet of love, connection, abundance, relationships. Saturn is discipline, it's commitment and structure, boundaries. And Mercury is a planet of communication, connection, and information. And when these three come into a beautiful pattern, like this is such a divine, supportive, harmonious pattern, real harmony can come back into our relationships. This is coming back to the personal level, communication, our connection. And we could revisit at a very personal level, you could revisit commitments that you have with your partners or new structures in your family. Venus will be in Cancer, the sign of the family, of the mother. The goddess is in this beautiful, nourishing, nurturing sign. So this could really be a beautiful time around these days of the 14th, where you could really open yourself up to some beautiful energy. Or, you don't even have to think about it. Just observe what's coming up. Put it in your diary. See what happens around those days in your personal world. And really, see it as it's a blessing. As we continue going through all of this crazy changing of the guard dynamics, these little Venus, positive movements, they really are almost like these little bits of like I was saying before, like the valve releasing some steam, releasing some pressure. So it's not all bad. It's not all scary. It's really actually exciting, I believe. I truly have gone through a lot of different emotions around the times we live in, and I'm really leaning more and more towards feeling excited about what's happening. And everything I share with you is what I practice, and it does bring me peace of mind. Living within your means, trying to feel into what is truly valuable and align your life with that as much as possible in your relationships, the way you earn money, the way you deal with resources, and try to find what's unique about you. Again, like I said in my Patreon, I'm going to talk more about Pluto and Aquarius and how I believe Pluto and Aquarius is going to push us, and AI and the advancement of technology is actually going to make us more human. I feel there's a potential it's going to push us back in on ourselves. So please, if you want to explore all of this stuff and more of the esoteric and ritual and horoscope, check out my Patreon. And yeah, thank you for listening. I hope this helps you. Happy eclipse season. It's not as heavy as the previous ones, but I really hope this helps you journey with these times, feel empowered, take a breath, and harness all the goodness that's actually there. All right, see you guys next month.